did you know goldenrod makes an excellent tea?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
Me.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Or what's inside. You suck. Finally, we're going to reveal the... Hey everybody, welcome back to Tomic's veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years I'm a writer, I'm an artist, and this sucks.
She cooks nothing but chuck wagons, stew, and her name is Minerva. Ouch! She's the flower of the flower. Ouch!
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
When I'm early, do you guys sit around and go, wow, that guy, he's so lively and spry for a guy his age? No, you don't say anything. But when I'm 2 minutes late, oh, Aaron's taking a nap. Oh, that senile old guy forgot what time it was. Where's the friggin' respect? That's all I want to know. Welcome, everybody. It's once again time for Aaron Live. This is June 29th. If you can believe it, we're 6 months into the year of 2025. I remember as a young lad of 19, sitting around talking to one of my friends going, do you realize when the year 2000 rolls around, we'll be 36? And we were like, oh my gosh, I'll never be that old. I would give anything to be 36 and still have hair. But, you know, the white beard is kind of, I don't know, is majestic the right word? I don't know. I kind of like it, though. Okay, so what a show. What a big, I sound like Ed Sullivan. And you guys are like, who's Ed Sullivan? Got a really big show. Adventures at SummerCon. Quite a few tales to tell there. Jim Starlin covers. Mitch, this wasn't even in the advertisement. We're doing the return of who's this guy? We're doing oh, my dog is barking. What a shock. Mitchell Cooks is a illustrator, prominently most of his work in the 50s and 60s. We're going to be looking at him, and there's a specific reason that sort of ties into my SummerCon adventure, why we're looking at his stuff. Of course, cryptids, just all sorts of crazy stuff going on today. So welcome, and let's get on with it. Let's see who's here, who is uplifting the show by watching right now. Andy Dowlett's here. He says only 17 hours to go. Yay. So Andy chimed in last night when I posted this, because I do all of my prep work the night before. And, you know, I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me, but the amount of time I put into prepping for the show deserves a like and subscribe at the very least. I mean, you know, I don't want to, you know, what's the old expression? I don't want to toot my own horn or pat myself on the back, but I'm telling you, I put a lot of effort into preparing for this show, such as it is. That's right. So be like Frankenstein and like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. So who's excited for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein? I am. He's come out and said that he based the look of the monster and sort of the look of the film on Wrightson's rendition. And if you look at the scenes of Oscar Isaac, right, and he's got kind of that black, a little bit longer, curly-ish hair, that's very much how Wrightson drew Dr. Frankenstein in his illustrated version of the book. So I can't wait to see the monster. And of course, they're not going to reveal it. We're going to have to go to see the movie, which I believe comes out in November, if I'm not mistaken, of this year. So I'm kind of excited about that. But we'll have to wait a few more months before we get that anyway. Stealth X5 is here. Creative Faye says, I'm looking forward to seeing the con goodies you got and hearing your Don Bluth story. That's all part of the experience, man. That's what we're here for. People were saying, show the stuff on Graybeards. Like, no, that's what we do here. So I saved all of it. So even though it's now a week old, it's still fresh in my mind and my heart. So we'll get into that in a little bit. There's Past Master Dan. Sequential Treasures. Sequential Treasures, of course, is always reminding me to tell you guys about all the stuff he showed me. He picked up, and I have to admit, this was kind of cool. He picked up a Gulliver Jones page, and you're like, what is that? If you go to Creatures on the Loose, which was an early 70s title for Marvel, that mostly reprinted old Kirby monster comics, but as it went on, they started some new features, and one of them was Gulliver of Mars. And you say, well, Gulliver, what is that? Well, I used to think that John Carter of Mars, the Gulliver of Mars was a ripoff of John Carter of Mars, but Gulliver of Mars actually predates John Carter of Mars in the pulps. So can we assume that Edgar Rice Burroughs ripped off Gulliver of Mars? I don't know. But anyway, Sequential Treasures got an interior page from one of those issues, which is crazy to me because it's like, that's 1972, very sort of obscure title, but he had one and it was pretty cool. So there you go. And he also gave me some stuff, but we'll get into that when we get to the SummerCon. Spaceman 3952 is joining us. NPC Oasis Sequential Artist, not to be confused with Sequential Treasures. He says he's always trying to make a joke. Greetings, Aaron and chat. Always excited to hear about the pros and the cons. Get it? The cons being conventions. And he keeps trying, and you know what? We love him for it. Let's see here. Bill Maxwell is joining us. Now, Bill Maxwell, did you just add that 6803 onto the end of that? I don't remember that being there. Pantheon 79. Everybody's got a number. Pantheon 7900. Randy Howell, all the way from Canada. He brings up an excellent point here, folks. We're only $62 away. $62 away from 80K on Wraith of God 3, which is the next stretch goal. So that means more free stuff for you guys. We just need a $62 order or two $31 orders. I don't even know if that's possible. So we're knocking on the door. So if you haven't backed, please consider doing so. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. That's my dog. The insanity. Make it stop. Sloth Lover 04 is here. Is that? It is. Okay, you changed your name. People are changing their names, adding numbers, but I know you've got a sword still. So, and I can't think of what your old name was now. I just like that. I saw the picture. I go, oh, who is that? I know, but I can't think of it. So, now you can make the senile jokes. J Dredd 81. Look at Judge Dredd's doing it. What are you guys all adding numbers to your names for? I don't understand it. There's Leg Kick. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. And Leg Kick was actually at SummerCon. Creative Faye was at SummerCon. There's Ella Campbell. Okay, no, Ella Campbell has a number. Ella, did you just put that number on there? As my friend of my daughter's, she stayed with us actually for a week earlier this summer. Fine young lady. But was that number always been there? There's like some sort of number conspiracy going on right now. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's making me very uncomfortable. Okay, Marcus Killigrew is here. He's, of course, the purveyor of all. Okay. Now I know this. Marcus Killigrew 9186. What is going on? I demand, is this like Invasion of the Body Snatchers? What is going on with these numbers at the end of your name? David Pentecost without a number is here. Past Master Dan 4080. Sloth Lover 04. We already did that. Squeaky. Okay. Squeaky 4070. All right, I'm getting angry. George is getting angry. Stefan Lanuto 5993. Okay. Thankfully, Apex Comics, he does have a number. 3200. What is going on? Eric M. Boyd, though, he hasn't done. He added art, though, to his Eric N. Boyd art. What is going on? The Green Laser 215. Paul the Bruh. Thanks, Paul, for joining us. It's okay, fine. I'll tune into this. I appreciate it. You're not going to regret it. Well, you probably will, but you got to give me credit for effort, even if the entertainment maybe falls just a hair short. Okay. I demand answers, and I demand them now. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Okay, Gray Wolf Graphics is here. Did not change his name at all. That's good. Pity Maw 1033 again. This is like, is this some sort of, did I just wake up into some dystopian future where we're all got numbers now? Gary, hello, Aaron. You were one of only 3 great comic creators at SummerCon. One out of, well, that's good. That's, wow. Okay, I'll take that. Top 3. I'll take that. Thank you. Doppel Darling 2564. So the rumors of Aaron leaving Comicsgate. So the rumors of Aaron leaving Comicsgate. Are there rumors about me leaving Comicsgate? Well, they're not true. I haven't even heard that. You guys should know by now, I'm about as dialed into social media as a 61-year-old guy might be, which is not at all. So if there's drama going on and people are talking about me or suggesting certain things about me, I have no idea. So no, I'm not going anywhere. Where would I go? The More Things universe is here. Brig G 5105 says the new Dracula movie doesn't look too good. I haven't seen anything on that. So it's like more of a, it's not the, of course, we're not referring to the Nosferatu film that just came out last fall. We're referring to more of a traditional Universal Dracula remake. I assume that's what we're talking about here. Okay. Marcus says all the names are our YouTube channels instead of names. I still don't understand what that means. I mean, so why is there a number there though now and there wasn't before? Is YouTube making you do that? I mean, is YouTube like assigning you a number to the end of your thing? I mean, I don't get it. This is doing the same thing it did last night on another chat with the changing our screen name. So you're saying that a power out of your control is changing these things? Says the number thing has been going on for a couple of days. Okay, so this is a YouTube thing, is what you're telling me. It's like, see, this is like Terminator. This is how it starts. Okay. Creative Face says, I don't have a number. I guess I'm the only human here. Could be. Haha. Says it's using my handle name or whatever. YouTube screwed the chat up. Okay. I believe that. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. There it is. See, I saw Sloth. I was like, wait a minute. Because Michelle Bowers is now Sloth Lover 04. But this is the change that was forced upon you guys, not one you chose. Okay. All right. I got it. But please let it be known that Michelle Bowers, also known as Sloth Lover 04, does have a sword. Ink on Paper is here. Pity Moss says, Aaron, I know you had a con, but you threw my Sunday off with not seeing you. YouTube did the numbers. Okay, there it is. So if I'm in the chat, am I going to have a number now? I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay. Judge Dredd says he did not consent to these numbers. Yeah, there's Marcus Killigrew saying that YouTube is putting the numbers on. Wow. There's Grandpa Daryl. One of my best friends' name is Daryl. I don't think it's the same one, though. There's Henry Bemis. He was at SummerCon. At G-4832, spreading CG love. I voted for you on Kings. Robbed. Thank you for the vote. And yes, I agree with you. I was robbed. But thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Ozhead is here. Let's see here. Randy Howell 94 now, not just Randy Howell, all the way from Canada for $2. Thank you. The dog is barking to tell the chat to back Wraith. He's speaking the language. Actually, another one of my daughter's friends from college is here visiting this week. And so every time they come in the house, she's like, oh, yeah, this is a new person. I'm going to bark for a little bit. Then I remember, oh, yeah, I saw them just 20 minutes ago. So that's what's going on there. Corey Landis with a number is here. What do we got? The beam pad is here. No number on the beam pad. Entity 2645 with a number. Michelle Bowers is exercising her authority as a human being over the machine and still able to change her name back, but still has a number attached to it. Interesting. There's Bretsky the Great. McGregable. Yes. Can't wait for Wraith of God 3. Me either. I'd like to get that done. Okay, can I set the record straight on this? Everybody, I did see this tweet that I went after Ethan. That's not what happened at all. They completely misread the clip. What I was saying was, see, a lot of times I'll say you when I mean anybody. Okay, so like, how could you do something like this? Meaning you, any person. How could any person do something like this? When I say you, a lot of times it's not, hey, you, Ethan, why did you do this? Or you, Billy Tucci, why did you do this? It's, I don't understand why you would do this. Would anybody would do this is how it needs to be interpreted. And I did bring up Trashcast, and what I said was that I understood why Ethan did Trashcast, because it was monetarily advantageous for him to do it. But I said there was also, he had other reasons why he did it. And then he went on and explained those other reasons. And when I said you, I was referring to specifically, we were talking about Mike Miller and some others that kept attacking. And I was saying, I don't understand why you would post this type of stuff as a YouTuber or an online presence if it wasn't advantageous for you. Like let's say John Delarose is stirring the pot, right? Well, he's got a YouTube channel that people like to hear that stuff. So he's benefiting from it. Now, if Mike's doing it or someone else is doing it, and they're not getting the views on their channel, and they don't seem to be gaining anything from doing it, then I question why they're doing it. And that's what I was asking, is why you, being anybody, would do this if there wasn't some advantage to doing it, other than just to fight or be mad or, that was kind of my point. And it's been like put out there that I was chastising Ethan, which, and again, I'm not a fan of Trashcast, and he knows that. I mean, but I know why he does it. And I understand we're in this YouTube universe where, drama brings in an audience. That's why I have no audience. but I'm not a drama guy. I just don't feel comfortable doing that stuff and being a part of it. But I don't necessarily worry about other people doing it. I mean, it's all part of the performance art that is YouTubing and online, and you're trying to find an audience. And, like I said, Ethan has sincere reasons why he does that. Okay. And it's not for me to agree or disagree with why he does it. He can do whatever he wants. And, and the same with Mike and other guys, they can post whatever they want. I just was questioning for me to do something, there has to be an end game. There has to be, what am I getting out of this? What's the purpose of me doing this? What am I accomplishing by doing this? Or I'm not going to do it, right? I'm not going to do it just to satisfy myself because I feel like it. I'm going to do it because, this will help promote my book, or this will help my YouTube channel grow. As long as it's something I'm comfortable doing. If it's not something I'm not comfortable doing, I won't do it anyway, regardless if it's a benefit or not. But that was kind of what I was trying, the point I was trying to make, and it probably didn't come off that well. Stealth X5 for $2. Hello, Stealth. Thanks for joining. Oh my gosh. Are you going to bring on the rest of the Graybeards soon? Look at Beatty. Beatty is like, we were joking about this off camera, that Beatty is like become part of Graybeards. He's like those two old guys, the Muppet guys, actually at the beginning of my intro or the end of my intro, that like sit up there in the crow's nest and ridicule the act. That's what Beatty's like, part of the show now without ever having come on the show. So there you go, John. And no, I'm not bringing them on. They won't come on. Are you kidding me? They had enough of me once a week. They can't take anymore. Let's see here. I want to get my good friend who doesn't make fun of me, Walter Simonson, to show up in the chat once in a while like he used to. I think maybe John scared him off. I don't know. Let's see here. There's Jimmy Owens, Sean Allen, 7436 with a number. I'm not a number. I'm a free man, and yet you carry the number. Yeah, this is a complicated thing what YouTube is doing. Yeah, they want you, Graham, Billy. Of course, they want, for what purpose? To get revenge on Ethan because they're pissed at him. It's like, whatever. No, we, all of us sort of are in this for to sell comics, and we're doing it the best way we can. And this is a great platform and a great community for doing that. And, we all sort of share similar politics, obviously, but that ship has sailed. And maybe that's the problem, because we could all unite around us versus them type stuff. But when all the sort of political correctness and all that kind of crap and, has gone by the wayside a little bit, or at least certainly not as big in the culture as it was 4 years ago, what do we have to fight against, So you have to sort of change gears and go, well, I'm going to focus now more on promoting and selling and, entertainment. At least that's what I'm doing, and we'll see if it works. But anyway, here, there's Paul Taylor, who now has a number attached to him too. Okay. I think I got just about everybody. Now this I like right here. John Beatty is a menace, like that Dennis kid. Yep. See? No, we do love John, because John is, of course, on the Mount Rushmore of inkers, and you got to respect that. Travis Perrick, 5674. I'm not going to read the numbers anymore. For $2, thank you, Travis. Do you like the blues music of Freddie King? I do like blues, but I'm not like an aficionado on like a lot of performers, I mean, I know Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course, and more the more prominent blues musicians, but not that Freddie King isn't prominent because I don't really know. I probably have heard his music and just not aware of it. But I am a fan of some good rock and blues. Enjoy that. Yeah, I love country. You know, here's the funny thing. My wife was really into country music, not so much anymore, but she really was when we got married. And I was like, ugh. But I said, you know what, I'll adopt it because I was a big Nebraska football fan. And so she sort of had to adopt Nebraska football, and I would adopt country music. And I ran into this guy who's a comic book fan. And I used to take all my roughs, you know, I do little 8.5 by 11 roughs, you know, figure out my page layout. And I just throw them away. This guy's like, oh man, give them to me and I'll send you like free CDs. This was back in the CD day, right? Because he worked at a radio station. He worked at a country radio station. So every couple months, every 6 months, whatever, I'd send him all my roughs and he'd send me this huge box of CDs of country music. Well, after a while, we got sick of it. So I quit sending him the stuff. And I thought, hey, people actually might pay money for this. If they'll trade, you know, country CDs for it, then maybe they'll actually pay money. So I kind of adopted that angle. But yeah, I did have we went to quite a few country music concerts, like Winona and other people. I can't think of any of them right now, but we went to a lot. So anyway, I don't like rap because I don't really look at it as music. I know there's people that do, but I don't. And come on, I'm a grumpy old white guy from suburban America. Why would I like rap? But I do like Barry Manilow, which some people might mock as well. So I don't know. You know, he is still touring. The guy's got to be in his 80s, and he's still doing, yeah, whatever. Okay, so here we are. I don't have, well, you know, I'm going to do this anyway. Because my daughter and her friend are going to go. There's still actually a drive-in movie theater not too far from us. They're playing E.T. along with How to Train Your Dragon, live action, which I understand is really good, but I still can't get over the fact that I love the animated movie. Why would I go watch a live action of the same movie that was animated? I don't understand. So anyway, but they're going to go do that, and then they've never, either one of them have seen E.T. So, but in honor of the old the drive-through, I'm going to do this, even though I don't really have a treat, so to speak. But
let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Yeah. I do have this, though. This has a lot of sugar in it, so I guess this would be considered a treat. You ever have these like Snapple fruit punches? It's a taste sensation, really. I used to be a big fan of the raspberry iced tea, the Snapple raspberry, but I kind of got into the peach. And does that make me weak? I don't know. Because raspberries don't, the peaches, that sounds a lot wimpier than raspberry, but I do kind of like the peach now. But they have this fruit punch, and it was on sale. And they didn't have any teas in this size, these single little plastic bottles. So I just got the fruit punch, which some people might think is a little wimpy as well, fruit punch. But come on, it's delicious. We all know it's true. All right, so let's take a look at what Frazetta has to offer us today. Those of you who remember, we are going through the Lord of the Rings portfolio that Frazetta did, and we're on plate number 3. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. So I do want to point out that I do own the portfolio. and the Frazetta portfolio, and it is quite a wonderful thing, and it's really expensive now. So I'm glad I bought it way back when at San Diego from Bud Plant for $125 or whatever I paid for it, 150 maybe. Wasn't more than that though. All right, so there's okay, so we have Beatty saying the ingredients in that crap is scary. Are you saying that it's not RFK Jr. approved? Is that what you're saying? Let's see. See, Paul Taylor. Now, Paul Taylor is a biologist, so I don't know what that has to do with his fascination with color, but he can't stand black and white. I have a great appreciation for black and white, Paul. So, what can I tell you? Earwart says, Frazetta is my favorite artist. I can see inspiration from him in your art, Aaron. Yeah, you know, it's funny. The guys that are my biggest influences tend to come out in certain, like you can see a lot of Neil Adams when I'm doing superhero stuff. You see a lot of Wrightson when I'm doing horror stuff. And you can see Frazetta when I'm doing fantasy stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I am a product of that for sure. A lot of people still ripping on Snapple. I thought it was, they say it's like made of like all good stuff or something. Look, it says right here. It's all natural. Are you telling me they're lying to me? Is that what you're telling me? That a big corporation would lie to me? Well, okay, it still tastes good though. I don't drink it all the time. I do cook with olive oil though, exclusively. I do not use seed oils. So that like kind of, and I don't drink soda at all. Never. Mostly drink water, but occasional little Snapple action. That's all I'm saying. I don't think that makes me a bad person. Robert the Bruce for $10. Thank you, Robert. Hey, Aaron, have you ever heard of Greg Broadmoor and his graphic novel One Path? If you have already talked about him or his work, I apologize, but I thought a dinosaur graphic novel would interest you. You know what? I've never heard of Greg Broadmoor or his graphic novel One Path, but now, because I am a dinosaur fan, I am going to check it out. So thank you, Robert the Bruce, for making me aware of the existence of this. Now, I assume you guys have seen, who's writing it? Was it my old buddy, Robert Vendetti, I think? And Luis LaRosa did like this dinosaur short story that's in part of this book. And if you guys have seen he posted them on Twitter, the pages, freaking unbelievable. So I actually backed that, I think, because I want those Luis LaRosa dinosaur pages. But Robert Venditti is a really good writer. So, Paul Taylor for 10. Thank you, Paul. Did Frazetta have anything to do with that terrible Lord of the Rings movie from the late 70s? You're talking about the Ralph Bakshi version. I don't think he did. I think they ran out of money and did the end of the movie with a cheesy live action. They rotoscoped, which means you shoot live action people on a blue screen or a green screen, and then you trace those. You get more realistic movements. So that was what Bakshi got into rotoscoping. And like he did a movie called American Pop that had that. And of course, Wizards had rotoscoping in it. Fire and Ice is the movie that he combined efforts with Frazetta to create in 1983-ish, I think. So there you go. Bearwolf says Neil Adams was great on the X-Men. He was, and that was inked by Tom Palmer, a very young Tom Palmer, which is some of the best inking Neil's ever had, in my opinion. John Bates saying yes, corporations, yes, they're liars. Okay. All right, I guess no more Snapple for me. Then you guys have affected me in such a way that I won't do that anymore. Now this is interesting. Cook with avocado oil instead. It has a higher smoke point. Okay, I'll try it. I love avocado, so I'll go down that road. We'll see what oh my gosh, here we go. Paul says, "Don't eat Breyers. It's not ice cream and won't melt." My brother told me about that, and I used to like it. If it doesn't say ice cream, don't buy it because it may be an edible oil product. Wow. Okay, no more Breyer. I don't eat it that we have a cheese factory, a literal cheese factory in Oregon, in Tillamook, Oregon, and that's Tillamook cheese. Fantastic. They do ice cream too. Generally, that's what I get is the Tillamook. So yeah, there you go. I don't read Breyers. Swine Dog says, fat is your friend. Okay. That's what I hear. And that's why I embrace my fatness, because I want to be friendly. Snow White was rotoscoped. That is true. There is parts of that. Yeah. And actually, if you saw, was it Clampett? I want to say it was Clampett that did the John Carter of Mars. Like, have you seen those test reels he did for John Carter of Mars? I'm pretty sure it was Clampett. And that was rotoscoped as well, but they were very cool. Oh, here we go. Umpqua. Yeah, Umpqua's good. Oregon, isn't that where they filmed the Goonies? Says ads the 8032. Yeah, Astoria, Oregon. Bearwolf ripping on Disney, says they Disney reused the same animations for decades. Well, they were kind of cheap in the 60s, weren't they? Were the 101 Dalmatians and all that kind of stuff. Leg kick for 5. Thank you, leg kick. Ryan Reynolds is going to star and produce Don Bluth's Dragon's Lair as a live action movie. Didn't we all love that game? Like when that came out, and those of you who were alive when it came out in the 80s, like me and John Beatty, that was cool because it was like this cool Disney animation video game when video games were very, very early on. This is true. I don't eat margarine. I haven't, man, we used to eat it when I was kids, but no, I'm a butter guy. Corey Landis says, I wish they'd do the new Goonies with those dudes running around in their mid-50s instead of making it about their kids. Are they doing, I mean, that sounds like to me like you're saying that they actually are doing a new Goonies movie about these guys' kids. When I went and saw the Goonies, okay, I was 19, 20, somewhere in that neighborhood. I felt like I got stuck babysitting for 2 hours. And I paid for it. I didn't get paid to babysit. I paid to go in and babysit a bunch of screaming kids for 2 hours. I freaking hate that movie. That's all I have to say about that. Unintelligent Design says, have a Liam Dollery do. Oh, that is Liam. It's like, I don't understand what you're saying. Thank you for the $2, Liam. Appreciate it. It's like, what? Okay. Alrighty. People are rejecting my quick review of the Goonies. Well, that's what you're going to do. We have such a massive show. I had to write it down. But any big show, any really big show has to have a sponsor. And the sponsor for this show is, you guessed it, me. So let's take a look here. Look at this, you guys. Let's do them. Is that $62 away from $80,000? And what happens when Wraith of God, Fear Hollow, Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow, I should say. This is the third Wraith of God graphic novel. When we hit 80,000, we get a new stretch goal, which means free stuff for you. So, when you go to the Best Western or something, one of these hotels, and they offer you free breakfast, right? And it's crap. And you say, well, at least it's free, but it really isn't, because they're factoring that cost into your room, but not me. That's not what I'm doing here. We are adding it on at our cost to give you free stuff. So I just want to clarify that. So anyway, Wraith of God, Fear Hollow, the Wraith and his partner Esther travel to the Northeast, to the mysterious small town of Cranesville. Cranestown? I think it's Cranestown. I don't even know my own writing. It's Cranestown. I didn't want to say town twice, so I made up Cranesville, and I said, no, I can't lie to you. It's actually Cranestown. So to check to see if the Headless Horseman, who haunted a young Wraith before he was a Wraith, he was a kid, and they wanted to see if that still lay dormant, or if the Headless Horseman had risen again. And of course, we wouldn't have a story if the Headless Horseman had not risen again. So we got a problem. And there's a witch from his past as well. There's just like all these villains from his past sort of converging. This is like a big issue of this series. A lot of stuff going on. A little bit more about the Wraith's origin or backstory, maybe would be a better way to put that. A lot of stuff going on. You do not want to miss this one. Fortunately, I've made multiple cover options for you. Now, if it were me, I'd get them all. That's what I would do. But that's me, Mr. Vegas, right? But that is, of course, a reference to Stripes and John Candy. There are 4 cover options for you, and really, you only have to get one. You could get them all, but this is version A by me. Here's version B, also known as the EC variant. This is also shockingly by me. And then there's, of course, the third option, which is the Marvel 1972 box cover variant, of course, by me. But I didn't want to oversaturate you guys with meanness, so I've given you some Chris Stevens as well, this wonderful painted cover, which I'm happy to say, because I had to pay for it, he didn't just give it to me, I had to pay for it, that this is the best-selling cover of all 4, and yet I feel sad that mine isn't the best-selling, that it's Chris's, which I'm happy about because I paid for it, but sad at the same time that mine isn't the #1 seller, but that's okay, because the insides are all me, baby. So anyway, you got 4 options right there for covers. Here's some wonderful color artwork, which will really excite Paul Taylor. Full color, Technicolor, by Jason Wright. And we are inside the little witch's hovel. Look at that. She lives in the woods in a like a house that's built in this giant tree. Then who's this guy? Well, this is another bad guy from his past. We get to a little bit more on him too, but we're setting him up for later. Spoiler. But he's involved in this. And then, of course, there's the Wraith rearing back. You know, I think I'm going to have Jason Wright going to make this sky like more reddish orange. It looks a little too serene here. I want it a little more menacing. But anyway, now, talking about stretch goals, this is the value stamp, not a Marvel value stamp, but an Empire Comics value stamp. See, got a hat right here, Empire Comics. And, but it is kind of ripping off Marvel from the 70s, but it's fun. It's a fun ripoff, an homage. So this was the 3rd value stamp. There was the Wraith. That was #2. This will be #3. And #1 is Eon Chance. So those will be the 3 so far value stamps that you can get. So you clip them and collect them, as they used to say. We also have a trading card of Sculpture from the Nightclub. She's the female character in Nightclub. She's sort of the stone gargoyle chick. And you may say, okay, well, what do we get when we hit 80,000? Well, I'll show you in just a second, but we get a card of Trunk, who is also in the Nightclub. And you'll remember him from Wraith of God, Blood Hunters 2, the Nightclub backup story. If you haven't read it, better catch up. You can also get this Wraith of God, Wraith Nouveau print, signed and numbered limited edition, 500 copies. Or you can get the Wraith of God Roughs Volume 3, which is 48 pages of layouts to the graphic novel. So it's always kind of fun to see the layout process and how much it changes when you see the finished page. You can get a laser etched shot glass of the Nightclub, which goes along with the shot glasses I'm sure you've already ordered of Wraith of God, Garbage Man, and Kit Carter. And then, of course, there's these great poker chips featuring the Wraith, Esther, and, of course, D.L. Keown's Werewolf. And then you can also get issues 1 and 2 of Wraith of God. Now, if you can't wait to read Wraith of God 1 and 2, you can order them off my website. And you'll find a link in the description of this video for both this campaign and my website, which is full of really fun stuff. So, there you go. There's your commercial announcement for today. But please, let's see if we can get this to 80,000 and get right back on track to the next stretch goal. And here, in case you're saying, who's Trunk? Trunk is this groovy elephant guy. This is a splash page from the nightclub story that was in Wraith of God 2. And that's Trunk, this giant elephant dude. Warrior elephant man from another dimension. It's got trading card written all over it. So I'm not using this art. I'm going to do new art for the trading card because that's how much I love you guys and appreciate you. New art, no retreads. But anyway, this is the character. We hit 80,000. Everybody gets this trading card along with the other stuff too. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay. There's some more conversation about the machine that is YouTube. There it is. Laser etched. That's high tech. Past Master Dan, look at that. Saying something nice about me. I'm going to take that all the way to the bank. Love Aaron's composition. Thank you, sir. Paul Taylor saying, yeah, Aaron's one of CG's best artists. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Now we're just waiting for Beatty to come in and ruin the day. All righty. Okay. What's next? Nothing like a, part of the expression, pregnant pause while you try to figure out what your schedule is. Okay, it's time to talk about SummerCon. Okay, so SummerCon is a pretty big convention in Puyallup, Washington, which is east of Tacoma, which is south of Seattle. So if you're in Seattle, you go down to Tacoma and then east. Would east be that way? I guess it depends on your... to Puyallup. So, and that's where it was. And we were at the fairgrounds, right? And it's in 3 different buildings. There's one main building where the dealers are at, and then the celebs are at. Then there's a gaming facility where all the gaming is set up, and then Artist Alley sort of. But there's also some exhibitors there, but mostly Artist Alley. And so my daughter and a friend of hers, and they did, I got to give them credit, they did work the booth when I needed them to. So they didn't just like, oh, take the badges and see you later. They actually worked my booth when I was out comic shopping, which is very important for me at these cons. So, but there's 2 green rooms. One of them is right next to where Artist Alley is. So it's a separate building, but it's right there. So it's obviously very convenient. The main building has its own green room in the back where all the celebs go. Right now, since I was a guest of the show, I have access to the green rooms. And my peeps, that's my daughter and her friend, were working with me at the booth. They had access to the green room. So you can guess where they camped out the entire weekend. Yes, back in the celebrity green room. And she had a very successful time meeting people from Cobra Kai and Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Chekhov from Star Trek, all just chatting back in the green room on a more personal, friendly level that you don't get when you're, standing in line out there to get an autograph or whatever. But now I didn't hang out back there. I'm not a star chaser. I don't like to bug people, because I figure they're back in the green room. They don't want to be bugged. But, I'm not a young, cute 23-year-old girl either, which a lot of these guys probably love to be bugged by them. So these girls did pretty well. Me probably would not have been as successful, so I didn't even bother. But let's see, where do I start? I got such a haul. It's incredible. Oh, I do want to mention the story with Crease. What's his name? Martin. The guy that that runs Cobra Kai, Martin Cove, apparently bit some chick that one of his co-stars from Cobra Kai, and she called the cops, and you've all seen it on Instagram by now. And the first thing everybody asked me when I got back was, well, what happened? Did you see it? And totally oblivious. It must have happened on Sunday, and apparently it happened out on the floor, right in front of the fans. And from what I understand, Martin Cove was just screwing around, and I don't know why he bit her, but he bit her pretty hard that left marks. So she was pissed. So he was removed from the show. It's my understanding, but that was like, I had no knowledge of it at all. because Sunday, Samantha's friend left Sunday morning. So she just pretty much stayed at the booth with me most of the day. So she wasn't back in the celebrity green room to get the scuttlebutt, as they say. So I don't really have any information on it. I didn't witness it, didn't even hear about it until I got back. So there it is. But I did get to meet a few people. But first, let me say this. Creative Faye came up to me and gave me some artwork. This is Zemnu the Living Titan, Howard the Duck, and Man Thing, like 3 of my favorite characters. And so she gave me this and she was doing some Wraith Roughs. She gave me those. So very, very nice of her to do that. It was very cool. She also, because we had talked about Mad Magazine on the show, and apparently she found a Mad Magazine in a store. So we thought Mad went under. That was my understanding, is that DC was no longer publishing them, or Warner Brothers or whoever owns them. But apparently, here we go. Now, is this just a special one-shot to kind of test the market again, or is this coming out regularly? I have no idea. But she gave me this. I have yet to thumb through it. I'm thumbing through it right now. So I don't know if this is new material or reprint material. There's Ernest Borgnine, so it must be reprint material, because there's no way. This is Mort Drucker. Is Mort Drucker even with us anymore? This is like classic Drucker. So yeah, this has got to be reprint material. And so I don't know that necessarily means that they're coming back with new stuff. Kid Carter was this close to being in Mad Magazine. Wouldn't that have been something? Anyway, so, and then I was given, Creative Faye also gave me these, which I haven't read yet, but Hyde Street by Jeff Johns and Ivan Rice, inked by my good buddy Danny Mickey. There's some really good artwork in this. Ivan Rice is really good. Danny, of course, as you know, on my Mount Rushmores of inkers, I don't know, John Beatty thinks, but so this is some really good stuff. Look at that face. That's a well-drawn face right there. So anyway, anything that has art this good is definitely worth reading. I just haven't got around to it yet, but I definitely will. I'm not a big new comic reader, but I'm kind of excited to see that, because the artwork's really, really nice. So that was Creative Faye bringing gifts. That was very nice of her. Of course, Sequential Treasures brought me some stuff as well. And I also want to mention that Angela Curry brought me chocolate, which is kind of a tradition at SummerCon, which is pretty amazing, because she doesn't live in Washington anymore. She lives like in Ohio, but she came there, was there for SummerCon, bringing chocolates. It was I almost cried. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, so Sequential Treasures shows up and says, Aaron, this is a birthday present for you. Well, my birthday was in January, and it was very nice of him. And so he hooked me up with this 9.4 Daredevil 122 with this groovy Gil Kane cover. First appearance of Blackwing. Somehow I don't think that's a major first appearance. But look, he's riding this giant bat and he's eating Daredevil. And of course, Black Widow's in this. White Pages. Yeah. So this is great fun. You know me, anytime I get a book in a plastic case, I'm pretty excited. So that was very nice of him. Now he also brought some comics to put in my spinner rack. And you see right there, boom. That's Where Monsters Dwell, which is a big monster reprint book in the 70s. He also brought me a nice Deathstroke, the Terminator book there that had a Zek cover, which I assume Beatty inked. I actually didn't look to see if Beatty inked that or not, but Beatty could probably tell us if he inked it. But here's the thing. That was all very nice. And I was like, James, thank you. That's great that you would bring me these gifts. But then He shows up with this crap right here and ruins my entire day. Now I told him I was going to burn this on air, but I can't really do that because it's got Garcia Lopez art in it. You know, that's just too freaking disrespectful. Jerry Conway wrote it, you know, gave us some really good Spider-Man years. Jerry did. Getting the willies just flipping through it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not putting it in my rack because that would be disrespectful to my rack. But I can't destroy it because that would be disrespectful to Garcia Lopez. I will figure out something to do it. Maybe I will just roll it up, stick it in my back pocket. Isn't that what the kids used to do with their comics? That even hurts me to do that, but even though it is Atari Force. So James, all of his goodwill was destroyed in one moment, handing me an Atari Force comic. But you know, he also did buy an old What the page from me. So it's like, how do you crap on someone that buys original art from me? You can't. But that Atari Force really pushing me right to the edge of the cliff. Avenger 2 wants to know if I've got the style guide with the DC style guide with the Garcia Lopez art in it. I do not, but I know it's really, really cool. There it is. There it is, right there. I'll always remember this episode when Aaron rolled up Atari Force. I don't think Jerry Conway probably burn Wraith of God. You can't roll up Wraith of God. It's too thick. It's too good of a deal. It's like an 80-page graphic novel. You can't roll that up. It's like a book. It's like a coffee table book. What a deal. If you haven't backed Wraith of God, you should really consider doing so. Check the link in the description of this video. It'll take you right there. Okay, now you're making me feel guilty. Well, you know what they say. Comics are meant to be read, right? So I should probably just crack this thing open and read it, right? I would never do that. Okay, so what else did I do? Okay, let me give you my comic buys. So I was on the verge of getting a weird science fantasy number 29, which has the classic Frazetta cover with the dude, the club hitting the caveman on the cliff wall. But it turned out it was trimmed, and I don't like restored books. They're only worth about half the value of an unrestored book. So, and it's still an expensive book because it's a really expensive book. But I almost got it because it was really nice, but restored, I couldn't do it. So I was frantic, running around trying to find something to buy because I was like, I am not leaving the show without some comics. So here's what we ended up doing. We're at Terry's Comics. Terry's a good pal of mine, a good dealer, has a lot of great stuff. So I picked up Black Panther #1, Kirby. Now, the reason this book has not been on my radar, but I recently saw that Kirby was doing these like double page spreads, like in his DC books and then his later Marvel stuff in the 70s. They were just crazy. And I was like, all right, I'll get into the more modern Kirby. So there you go. Black Panther #1. He was asking $100 for it. Got it for $80. But that's not all. That wasn't enough. One book is just not enough. And so he also had this near mint copy of Werewolf by Night #3. Now I have #1 and #2, so it only stands to reason that I should get #3. So I did. He wanted $120 for it, gave it to me also for $80. So yeah, I got both of those for $160. Well under guide, feeling pretty good about myself. Got a couple of comic books. Of course, that's Plug on the cover and on the inside. and it's near mint. So again, overjoyed. But that wasn't enough for me. I couldn't just stop there. When you see something this big, you got to get it. Now, it's not in great shape, so this is definitely a reader. You can see it's all scuffed up and stuff. And the guy said, I'll give it to you for 15. I said, oh, you know what? $15, that's practically free. So I took it, and because I don't have this. And it's got some Romita stuff in there. It's got some Ditko stuff in there. It's just good quality stuff with a great Romita cover. And God, there's nothing greater than reading a Treasury edition because they're so big. The pictures are big and the word balloons are big. So those of us don't focus quite as well. The big lettering really helps. So I thumbed through this, haven't read it, although I've read every issue that's in here, but you know, I need to revisit this again, maybe at bedtime. So then my daughter and I, after she chatted up Chekhov in the green room, we actually went to his table because I wanted to get a picture because we have a picture of Shatner signed. We have a picture of Uhura signed. So we got a picture of Chekhov signed. It says to Aaron and Sammy, Pavel Chekhov, I believe is the signature there. And so we brought it up to him. And he says, tell me the truth. Walter Koenig says, tell me the truth. Do I look cross-eyed in this? And I said, no, you just look like Shatner yelled at you. And he goes, ha, that was every day. So anyway, and so Walter Koenig and I talked a little bit about Malibu Comics because he wrote a series for Malibu called Raver or Ravers when I was there during the Ultraverse, right? And so we chatted about that and kind of connected beyond Star Trek, which was cool. So anyway, so there we go. I never got Leonard Nimoy's though, and I regret that. Because the one time I was at a show with him was in Seattle, and he was charging $100, and this was like 2000. I don't know. It was a couple of years before he died, so it was a while ago. And I was like, $100? No, I'm not paying that. Now I kind of wish I had, because I paid $100 for Shatner, $60 for Chekhov, so he wasn't as expensive. But anyway, so we got that. The other thing I wanted to hit up was, or the person I wanted to hit up was Don Bluth, right? Famous director, animator for Secret of Nim, Anastasia, Fievel Goes West, American Tail, the Fievel movies, Land Before Time, which the first one was fine. The sequels were not fine. But anyway, did a lot of good work. And so I got to talk to Don Bluth and got him to sign this for me. And he told me a story about this movie poster art here. The two brothers did this. And he said one would work on it while the other one slept. And then the other one would that one would go to sleep, and the other one would get up and work on it. So they were working on it around the clock. Pretty amazing thing. I'd never heard of the dudes. But anyway, look at that signature. This is like Don Bluth's like 88 years old. Look at that. Beautiful signature. And that whiteout pen, I was really interested in that whiteout pen because that really covered well. I think it's one of those acrylic pens. So anyway, we talked a little bit about, just animation and, how Disney was mad at him for leaving and that they thought he would fail. And that when he did Secret of Nim, it was a critical success, but it bombed financially. But then Spielberg came along and wanted him to do American Tail. And Spielberg put the money behind it, produced it, and then suddenly it was a big hit, and then everything changed. And so he had the last laugh. But 88-year-old Don Bluth, and I don't know, I think Chekhov's like 88 too. I mean, these guys are old. Shatner was tooling around there at 94 years old, and nobody talked to him because they were all afraid of him, but they get mad at him like, he got mad with Ron Garney. So we didn't talk to him. But anyway, so Don Bluth got to share some stories. He didn't really care about my stories, but I did care about his. And, we just talked about, I wanted to ask him, about his experience working with Jimmy Stewart, because Jimmy Stewart was the voice of the dog in the sheriff dog in Fievel Goes West. And that must have been a real kick, because I think that's the last thing Jimmy Stewart did. But I forgot to ask him because we started talking about other things. and, you know, just about him setting up his studio and all that kind of stuff. And then I realized I was talking too long and people were getting anxious. So I moved on. All natural, by the way. And you're saying, Aaron, okay, that's pretty good. Cool. You got a lot of stuff at SummerCon. That's pretty cool. But that's not all I got. Here it comes, folks. You've been sitting and seeing this in the background. But obey Fu Manchu or every living thing will die. Look at how cool this poster is. Now, I just recently watched this movie, and let me do a short review. It sucks. But the movie poster is incredible. Christopher Lee plays Fu Manchu, and this is not Christopher Lee depicted on this poster. Has some pretty weak makeup, actually. The problem with The Face of Fu Manchu, the movie, it's boring. It's painfully boring. And you don't want what's supposed to be a thriller action film to be boring. And boy, was it boring. Way too much talking and not enough doing. And also, I thought the thing was kind of funny was everybody should have been Asian in this movie, at least, you know, working for Fu Manchu, but about a third of the cast was Asian. Like all the women, you know, that worked for Fu Manchu were Asians. All the dudes, like a third of them were Asian, and the other 2/3 were like white guys. And it was like, and they didn't even try to make them look Asian. It was just stupid. They were dressed up in their little black outfits with their headbands, you know, and they were white dudes, fat white guys. And you're just like, come on, come on. You couldn't find enough Asian guys to fill out this cast in 1965? Come on. So that was kind of silly. And but did I say it was boring? Super boring. My daughter fell asleep when we were watching it, and I was having a hard time staying awake because going, how much longer is this? Not really thrilling, not really exciting, but really boring. Script nonsensical. The directing was poor. He would have like shots where two guys are talking to a third person, and they'd cut off the third person. So we'd have the camera, like a side view of the two guys talking to this guy who's off camera. And you're like, what? And he did this all the time. And then there was parts where, like, who's the guy, the detective, the Scotland Yard guy that's always after Nayland Smith, the character that's always hunting down Fu Manchu. Well, he never had a gun. The bad guys had guns. He had no gun. I'm like, this guy's a cop. I mean, I realize in modern England right now, they don't carry guns, but they did back then, but he didn't have any guns. So they were always getting in fist fights with these guys, and they were beating them up. So I'm like, Fu Manchu needs better bodyguards. And in one scene, they had guns, and he got the gun away from the guy, and he shot like 3 of them. And then he hands the gun to this chick and then goes over and punches the 4th guy. And I'm like, why didn't you just shoot him? And then they went back after that for the final showdown. And again, they didn't have any guns. So the whole thing was nonsensical silliness. And, but boy, what a movie poster by Mitchell Hooks, which leads me into a perfect segue. But before I segue, let's take a look at we got some super chats piling up. I appreciate that, you guys. I'm going to get to them right now. Let's see. Randy Howell, just for clarification, the numbers represent true account names. Okay. Again, I don't know what that means. Robert the Bruce. Hey, okay, we did that. And then did Frazetta do it? Okay, we did that. Ryan Reynolds did that. Jimmy Owens for 5. Thank you, Jimmy. Sending love, my friend. Hope Shelley is well. Thank you. She's doing okay today. She's having a decent day today. Still battling headaches, though, and that's really debilitating. Swine Dog for $5. I had fun. Thank you very much for that, by the way, you guys. Thank you all for the super chats. I had fun rereading Kit Carter Planet Doom recently. I always say Dan Lawless draws the hottest ladies in CG, but you gave him a run for his money. Yeah, Dan's always trying to catch up with me is how I like to look at it, but thank you very much. Paul Taylor, there's an episode of Original Hawaii Five-0 where Ricardo Montalban plays a Japanese criminal. It's quite common practice back in the day. Well, I get why they put Christopher Lee in the lead, because they thought, well, you can use his name. Maybe that'll help the box office. You just don't want some random Asian actor in there that no one's ever heard of, even though it still would have been better if they'd done that. So I get that, but not having Asian henchmen? Come on, man. What would Joe Biden say? He'd say, come on, man. So again, let's take a look at the greatness of this poster. Very sort of reminiscent of maybe McGinnis, sort of that very 60s sort of art style that a lot of guys were using. But this guy is actually more prolific and did more stuff than you might think. And we're going to take a look at that, as they say, right now. Talking about some groovy blues. I guess it's more of a jazz. Anyway, no more Snapple, only wholesome water. Okay. Yeah, let's see. So, Mitchell Hooks is the dude's name. Did a lot of paperback covers and did the movie posters as well, but he was magazine artist, like a lot of guys were back in the day. But look at this. Yowza, baby. Okay, so what I really kind of dig about what he's doing here, look at this bold line right here. I thought at first maybe that was charcoal, but I think it's basically it's a paintbrush line. So he's outlining with this dark, heavy, looks like maybe it could be burnt umber or something, but something in the brownish family. And you can see how loose, again, the drawing is, but very effective. A lot of energy in it. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but I think there's going to be some serious action taking place very, very shortly. So what can I tell you about Mitchell Hooks? Well, he was born in 1923 and died in 2013. Mainly known for his paperback books and magazine covers. Now, Hooks was born in Detroit, Michigan. He attended Cass Technical High School and later joined the United States Army as an infantryman in 1944, where he deployed to Germany after World War II for occupation duty. He became a second lieutenant during the war, after which he began his freelance illustration career in New York City. That's interesting. So it doesn't appear that he went to an official art school, which is always fascinating when these guys have this kind of ability. He painted paperback covers for Avon, Bantam, Dell, Fawcett, and others, and illustrated for magazines including Cosmopolitan, Saturday Evening Post, The Ladies' Home Journal, Red Book, McCall's, and Women's Day. He illustrated romance novels, science fiction, and crime fiction, such as Ross McDonald's Lou Archer, Peter Corse's Cliff Hardy, and B.B. Johnston's Super Spade series. He also illustrated a 36-page booklet on how to respect and display our flag for the U.S. Marine Corps. Boy, do people need to read that now. He also designed many film posters, including James Bond, which we'll take a look at, and they mentioned the Face of Fu Manchu, which is the poster that we just showed. So there you go. That's a brief history of our good friend Mitchell Hooks. Here's another saucy paperback cover by Hooks called The Search. Again, I love the design here. So you basically got this nude that's fully realized and developed, and yet the blouse or the whatever she's wearing here, just basically line work with some pattern on it. And then this dark area here with the guy hiding and this guy coming through the middle here. It's a very catchy design. Very effective. Of course, we're all looking right here at the redheaded babe, but then our eye just kind of gets drawn down and over here and stuff. So it's very nicely done. I like that a lot. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't know exactly what he's using. Could be acrylic. Could be, I doubt he was using egg tempera like McGinnis, but maybe, because it does have that kind of McGinnis feel. And a lot of these guys were doing what everybody else was doing at the time, and they're all working in a similar approach or style. So it's possible that this could be tempera. Could be acrylic. It's definitely not oils. I don't believe they're oils at all. Let's take a look at this one. Another great, now this doesn't have the trade dress on it, but it's a great design with all that negative space. Isn't it funny how the femme fatale, what a big deal the femme fatale has been in modern fiction, especially crime fiction. I mean, she's in her nightgown, being all saucy and whatnot, but then she's got a gun pointing right at you. So you're like, it's tempting, but do I really want to die? And really, look at that. So her outfit is, you got blues and pinks in there. And you got background, you got blues and greens. Very interesting. It's really more of a yellow green. Great figure work. And I'm sure all these guys had models and stuff, but still, just a great concept design. Now, some of you, and I don't know if this is the book that it was based on, but I'll bet it was. Vincent Price did a movie called The Witchfinder General, which is very grim, a very grim film. Did not enjoy it. But here you have the Witchfinder. Look at this poor, ravenously hot chick that's being oppressed by the Witchfinder. Under the guise of religion, he tortured women who defied him and men who ignored his righteous cause. Saucy. Do they still have saucy fiction like that now? They probably do. I'm just completely unaware of it. They certainly don't have covers like this anymore, though. Woohoo! Let's see. Now, here you go. This is very reminiscent of what was that? I'm thinking of a Kentucky Fried Movie where they had Catholic high school girls in trouble. There was that. What was that? It was a paperback, but it also was a very famous comic book cover. Oh, Reform School Girls. That's what it was. That's reminds me of this kind of vibe here. Lighten up her sig. I've got a. There we go. Lighten up my sig. This is fake, of course, but it's a great prop. Again, look at the texture and how rough he's laying the paint down here. Just a great style, though. You know, it's almost the antithesis of like somebody like Boris or even that other guy who did that stuff, James Bama, who's very photorealistic, very slick. These were very rough. You know, the drawings are fantastic, but the very painterly is the phrase I like to use. Where you're not trying to create the illusion of photography, you're just making an artistic expression about a realistic subject. Here we go with another great layout design. She's got only one red high heel shoe left on. I can't imagine it turned out well for her. There's our private detective coming in saying things don't look good. I think it's really nice, the broken necklace laying here. Nice little touch to let it, if we didn't know already that something bad happened to this girl. And the broken necklace is a dead giveaway. Again, love the composition on this. Who the hell keeps fake cigarettes laying around anyway? You know, Captain, I would respond to that, but since you have a number after your name, I don't think I'm going to. John Betty says that's after a Diddy freak off. Maybe. Could this be what's inspired Diddy? All right, here we go. This is interesting because he did this is the first James Bond or Sean Connery Bond film, Dr. No. But McGinnis did the rest of them, or a lot of them, after this. I don't think our friend Mitchell Hooks did anymore after this. But I love it. I mean, he's got the likeness dead on, but look how rough this jacket area is. That's crazy. That's a really cool style, though. I really like it. It's got all the chicks in their look at that swimsuit. I don't think Dr. No, he wasn't an Asian dude either. He was a white guy in makeup, wasn't he? I'll tell you, man. How'd they get away with that stuff in the 60s? A really cool. And also the use of primary colors in this is really interesting. The green, yellow, and the red. That's cool. All right, here's another nicely designed paperback cover. Again, you have your babe in the foreground. Was she hiding behind or standing behind something there? And then you got your guys, looks like they're placing a bet. So she's obviously looking for the guy with the cash. He threw away pride, decency, and love for a rotten little tramp and the sick excitement of the racetrack world. Well, she's apparently the rotten little tramp. You'd have to question her clothing taste if she's wearing a green dress with a reddish orange coat. You got to think that's just kind of the 60s, the Basil Go-Go's covers for Famous Monsters, where he just used all this color. You see it in Star Trek and the lighting in Star Trek. A really sort of bold approach to color use in the 60s. And I guess it goes with the decade. And here we go, because you haven't seen it enough already. Yeah, obey Fu Manchu or every living thing will die. Don't you guys forget it. It's also in Technicolor, so Paul Taylor would probably like it. I just thought this was outrageously good movie poster. And the tagline is just hysterical. Obey Fu Manchu or every living thing will die. I mean, it's pretty simple. So I paid $100 for this poster. I didn't even haggle with the guy. I was just like, I'll pay $100 for that poster. And I did. And now I've got it. And it's going up my wall here pretty soon. But I had to do this show first, so I wanted to keep it off the wall. But now it's going up on the wall. And Shelly probably won't like it, but she hates the Dark Crystal. And I'm going to put it up in place of the Dark Crystal poster. So maybe she'll actually be happy about it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so Paul Taylor is now kind of splitting hairs here about black and white and colors. Well, black and white movies are okay, but just not black and white comics. Gosh. Savage Tales and Savage Sword of Conan, those were, I mean, they did ink wash in those. They give you a little bit of tonal stuff in there. Those are awesome, man. Expand your horizons. Don't be so caught up in the biology of stuff, Paul, that you miss out. It's just sad. Just sad. There's a place for black and white. I'm just saying. All right, so that's Mitchell Hooks. I think that's some pretty cool stuff. I'm glad I actually discovered him. I was unaware of his stuff until I found this poster. So let's talk about a guy that I think everybody in the chat probably is aware of. If you're not, I can't believe anybody's not aware of this guy. Jim Starlin covers. Jim was always sort of famous in the comic book circles. You know, he made quite an imprint when he broke into the industry in the 70s. Had a very interesting, it was sort of like Marvel House style on steroids. It was very recognizable, at least in the sense that you looked at his work and went, that's different. I like that. But now because Marvel movies just sort of borrowed everything he ever wrote, put it in their movies, I think everybody probably knows about him now. Where do we start here? Well, I'm going to save my very favorite Starlin cover for last. Let's do that. And then these are not in a particular order, except for the last one. So most of his stuff that I'm familiar with is Marvel, but he did do some DC stuff. Like this wonderful wraparound cover for Batman Family Dollar comic. You got the Ragman, you got the Batman, you got, I love this Batgirl here, you know, with that punch. This is a great pose. He did the all black uniform. I love how Robin is way in the background so we can hardly see him because I hate Robin. You got Man-Bat in there. The Huntress, but she's not on the cover. But anyway, this is really, really cool. And again, a very effective use of flat coloring here. These guys really knew what they were doing back in the day when they didn't have Photoshop. They didn't have all this other stuff. They had to make really good color choices because the blending and the airbrushing and the special effects were not available. So you had to make good color choices. And I like this. I like this a lot. And also you look at Batman and you say, like the Batman ears are a little bit different. And there's just something about this that's different than what you're used to seeing. And you may not have known it was Starlin, but you looked at it and went, this is cool. Because it's well done and it's got a different vibe to it than a lot of the other artists we would be seeing at that time. I can't help but notice that, or think that the Man-Bat look is really sort of Michael Golden-ish. And that's about the time Golden was doing, you know, he was doing stories, I believe, in Batman Family. I know he did some Man-Bat stories. So it could be, he might have been coming off the, you know, my kind of grabbing that Golden vibe a little bit there on Man-Bat. This is interesting. And I will, this is a reprint of DC Comics Presents number 26. That's why it's $4.99, but still has the Starlin cover. Of course, this is the first appearance, I believe, of the new Teen Titans, and that's what makes this a collectible book. I don't know that you saw a lot of Starlin Superman, so that's kind of cool. Now, he did a later issue of DC Comics Presents that has Superman in a very similar pose. And Green Lantern here, we had the Spectre here where the Green Lantern is, and it's almost identical. The cover is almost identical. So I don't know if he like swiped himself or what, but anyway, I thought this was interesting because it's kind of a important issue because of the Teen Titans thing, but it's also got a Starlin cover. So now here, I like this one a lot too. This is Special Marvel Edition number 15, this first appearance of Shang-Chi, the Master of Kung Fu. Now, the great thing about Shang-Chi that they didn't do in the movie was his dad was Fu Manchu in the comics, which I think is great. You know, that his dad's this evil mastermind, you know, a criminal mastermind, one of the most evil people in the world. And he has this son who's like turns against him and becomes kind of a hero. I love that. And we didn't get any of that in the movie. I like this big fat guy too that's getting kicked. I love this drawing a lot right here. So yeah. Now Starlin did this issue and he might have done one more. And then they spun it off into Shang-Chi's own title, which he refused to do because he felt he was, even back then, felt that this is like 1972, that he might be appropriating culture, that he didn't feel like he should be drawing an Asian character, which I think is, not get political here, but I think that's silly. And I still think it's silly. Cultural appropriation is silly. The whole idea of it is just, well, who cares? But anyway, so he left the book. And of course, that paved the way for guys like Galassi and Mike Zeck to do really great work on this title. This is kind of a, Shang-Chi is kind of a, it's one of those series that you feel like never was all that popular, and yet it went on forever. Kind of like Tomb of Dracula. I was like, is anybody reading Tomb of Dracula? Well, they must be, because it goes on. It just went on forever, and so did Master of Kung Fu. So there must have been that Bruce Lee crowd that kept that thing going strong. But anyway, really cool cover by Starlin, regardless. Paul, remembering back to the glory days of color comics, said, I remember reading a Shang-Chi Spider-Man team up that was pretty good. That would have been Giant Size Spider-Man #2. Just saying. Let me close the door here. Get out of here. Folks are chatting next door. Isn't it great? You do like a show and you're kind of like, hey, I'm like on TV. I'm a TV star. And then people in the bedroom next door are talking. And then you realize, no, I'm doing this out of my studio and nobody cares. Okay, so let's move along here. This is, of course, Starlin's best known for Captain Marvel and Warlock. And this is one of my favorite Captain Marvel covers. I remember seeing this as a wee lad. I remember seeing this in the Overstreet Price Guide, a picture of it. And I thought, that looks cool. I want to get that book. Of course, I do have it now in near mint condition, of course. Not graded, though. I just love it. You got the Super Scroll in there. You've got all this action in the foreground, but then you got Captain Marvel isolated back there. So it conveys a nice sense of action, but it's a real nice design as well. It has nice depth to it, and it has that Captain Marvel white hair, which I really dig. All right. How many of you remember this? Now, I collect Captain America, but I don't have this issue, so I have to get it. But I always liked it. Look at how big his lats are. I mean, they're just cool. Look at MODOK's on there. I don't know who this dude is. Baron Zemo. They all feel like they have little smooshed up faces, don't they? Like their noses aren't long enough. No offense, Jim. But I love this cover. Like all the rib cage delineation and stuff in here. Total Starlin, right? This gives it away as a Starlin right there. Did Romita ink this? I kind of think he did. Marcus, you'll have to help me out, but I think this is inked by Romita. Certainly not inked by John Beatty, for crying out loud. John was just a wee lad, I think. John actually may be older than me. He may have started his career on this book. Probably not. Yeah, we don't know who the guy on the bottom is. But yeah, we got Red Skull, MODOK, and Baron Zemo, and then SpongeBob. I don't know who that is. And why is Bucky, or Rick Jones in this case, being so aggressive? No, get back, all of you. This can't be happening. And yet it is. So like Bucky or Rick Jones is being all pissy with him too. So I still love that cover though. I used to have that issue. I don't. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to get of course, a near mint copy because that's my standards. I have to keep my standard. Really? Joe Sinnott inked that, says Marcus Killigrew. Cool. All right. Now, how about this one? You're probably going to guess why I picked this one. Well, now the big question here is, why do they color Man-Thing brown? Shouldn't he be green? Garbage Man is brown. Man-Thing is green. Let's get this. And they even got him brown up here in this little thing. I always liked this shot, this corner circle, corner box thing of man thing. I don't know who drew that. It's probably Plug. I'm not 100% certain. Maybe Bruner. I don't know. But I love that from this back shot of him. It's just cool. It's unusual. But yeah, so this is Marvel 2-in-1. This is the things they had Marvel team up with Spider-Man, and they started Marvel 2-in-1 because Marvel team up was very popular. So they thought, well, let's do it with the Thing. And this is a 20 center, just like a Marvel team up. So it couldn't have happened that much later. It doesn't have the square box. So that means it's not 1972. It means it has to be 73. So like just a year after or less, when Marvel Team Up debuted, they came out with Marvel 2-in-1. See, I thought Swamp Thing was green and Man Thing was brown. Well, Swamp Thing is green now. But he's from the swamp. Why would he be brown? I mean, he has been brown. I've seen issues where he's brown. They need to figure that out, or they needed to back then because they were bouncing back and forth. All right, this is also one of my faves. I just picked one of these up in a 9.4 slabbed. Yes, I admit it. Iron Man 100. Now, I remember when this came out, I bought this comic when it came out just because, again, I wasn't an Iron Man collector, but the cover was so cool. And again, you can see like he did the little shiny stuff. Starlin has got to be like the first guy or one of the first guys, maybe Perez was, I don't know, to do like shiny stuff on metal. But like, again, I love the abs and the rib cage. That's totally Starlin. And the pear-shaped biceps, totally Starlin. We have a nice little, I think up in the corner box, I believe that's Tusca inked by Romita. But this is a great 100th anniversary cover. Love it. Love it. And this is the Iron Man I like, the Gene Colan Iron Man, where he had like bendy armor on. Okay, we'll get into Warlock now. These are pretty cool too, I have to admit. This is 178. So this is Warlock's first series after well, let me think. I know I take that back. He had his own series. He started Marvel Premiere. That was a 20 center. And then spun off into his own series, which... No? Okay, hang on a second. I know you guys probably already know in the chat. I'm guessing So he appeared in Marvel Premiere. And then I think he went to Strange Tales and then went to his own series. No, I don't think that's right either. Because Warlock #1 was a letterbox Marvel 20 center. So, okay, Marvel Premiere, his own series, which didn't last very long. Then it kind of went away. Then they put him in Strange Tales. That's what it was. And then Starlin took over here. Okay, let's go back real quickly. The guy at the bottom of the Cap 162 doesn't even show up in the book, but Dr. Faustus does. So why isn't Faustus on the cover? Maybe they didn't want you to know it was Faustus because he was imagining all this stuff, and it turned out that Dr. Faustus was playing mind games with him. But anyway, so this was Warlock's second attempt, right? And so it went with Strange Tales. And then, God, this is really screwy. Okay, so this was the first issue of the second run on his first series. Okay, so Marvel Premiere, Warlock 1 through 8, then it got canceled. Then Strange Tales with Starlin, He did a few issues of that, seemed to be popular. Then they picked up the numbering again on his old series, but made this like the first issue of his new series. So it was Warlock number 9. I think that's the order in what happened here. And I remember picking this up because I thought the drawing was just like really interesting looking. Again, you have this, the patented Starlin abs and rib cage and those pear-shaped biceps. I mean, I was copying Starlin when I was like 13, I think. And I was like copying Starlin for a while when I was doing superhero drawings, just copying his, funky anatomy, because I really, really loved it. And I remember opening this book up because I bought it because of the cover. I just thought the artwork was cool. And I opened it up, and the way they had stacked the credits, I thought Tom Orzechowski, who was the letterer, was actually the artist. So I was like going around thinking, oh, I got to find more work by this Tom Orzechowski guy. And much later, learned out that, oh, no, it's actually Jim Starlin is the artist, and Orzechowski did the lettering. Randy Hall says, why did he give Magus an afro? Because it was the 70s, man. Afros were cool. All right, let's go back to Captain Marvel here. I love this one. It's kind of reminiscent of Avengers 4, don't you think? The Kirby cover where Cap is the first Silver Age appearance of Captain America. But I just loved how, like, the thing with Starlin's guys, they were just so muscular, right? They were just shredded. And as a young kid, you want your superheroes just to be ripped. And I always liked how he drew the Vision. He drew the Vision with a really long face and a long neck. And I mean, that was kind of a Starlin thing anyway, but I thought it really sort of was interesting looking on the Vision. I have to admit, when I was reading Captain Marvel, I had a hard time following it. It was a little too out there, Warlock was really out there and had no clue what I was reading when I was a kid. Walt Parrish, Aaron Lopresti, as I live and breathe, you were so kind to me back in the day when I was collecting Cliff drawings. I remember that, Walt. I remember the Cliff drawings. Someone else was doing toasters too a long time ago. I remember the Cliff. I remember that. I think that was like during my Sludge days. But Walt, thanks for joining us. So anyway, I love this cover, probably because it's got the Avengers in it, and but a great big central shot of Captain Marvel with his flowing 70s blonde hair. This is very similar, Captain Marvel cover. Now, this is interesting because this definitely has a Romita face on it. So I'm curious what it looked like before Romita changed it. He must not have liked it, that's for sure. But one of the things with the Starlin too, look at the knuckles, how he would like delineate these knuckles, and again, look at the rib cage and the abs, man. He just like, all these guys were just shredded. It's almost got kind of a weird Ditko background going on too. Of course, Captain Marvel number 29. Yeah, Starlin, like a lot of artists, they have like that peak period where they just can't do anything wrong, and then it sort of goes away. But this was sort of, early 70s through mid 70s. Starlin was rocking it, man. All right, we'll do one more. This is my favorite Starlin cover. Just like the pose. It's very sort of Marvel, and yet with a nice Starlin anatomical slant to it. So you got Thanos back here. I don't know who all these are. There's Pip the Troll, Gamora down here. I just love this figure. I love it, it's very it's almost Gil Kane-y. It makes me wonder, but I know this is Starlin. It's not Gil Kane. I think that's really cool. These were really great art, books to look at. But like I said, Warlock stuff was like, whoa. I mean, you just wonder if there might have been some drug use involved before writing these stories. I'm not suggesting anything, of course. So if Jim Starlin's watching this channel, which I'm sure he is, I'm just kind of making a joke there. But that stuff was way out there. Walt Parrish is like, did you get into the Gilgamesh too? I did not. I didn't read his, what was the thing he did for Epic, Marvel's Epic? Doggone it. Well, you guys will know. I didn't read that either. Because I was like, I'm such an art snob in the way that if I don't like artwork, I'm not going to pick up a book. I don't care how good it is. I've got to like the artwork. And his later stuff I didn't like as much as I did his this period. So Dreadstar, thank you, Marcus Killigrew. Yes, he did The Breed from Malibu as well. I thumbed through that stuff, but I didn't buy any. I bought a couple of issues of Dreadstar because they had Wrightson's Captain Stern in there, and that wasn't even good Wrightson in that. But it was still Captain Stern, so I wanted to read Captain Stern if I could get it, because the only Captain Stern I ever saw was the couple of pages that are in A Look Back, and that one story that he did for Heavy Metal in 1980, which was primo. Again, Wrightson's last great work was that Captain Stern story in the June 1980 issue of Heavy Metal. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Yeah, he did. I think he's a pretty good writer, though. Obviously, I mean, he just did, fantastic stuff for Marvel. The Marvel Universe has been ripping off the movies ever since. I don't know who did the animation for that, but it was based on the story, obviously, and that Wrightson did in Heavy Metal magazine. Excuse me, not the movie. Yeah, he did, but it was like in the early 90s or whatever, and it wasn't the classic Wrightson that I've come to know and love. I think next week we actually will do Wrightson covers because he has some buttes. So, but anyway, that is a tale for next week, not this week. So that wraps up our Jim Starlin stuff for this weekend. I think, where are we at here? Oh, looks like it's time for, that thing that we do that is the talk of the town, literally, on the YouTubes. Because every week we fail in our quest to find Bigfoot. But when you're looking for Bigfoot, what you're always looking for is a nice blurry photo, because that's the evidence that lets you know that you're onto something. And this week is no exception, as I present to you the latest in blurry Bigfoot videos. Now, this is a trail cam, so you're not going to get much action here. But at least it's consistently blurring. The tree in the foreground is blurry. The trees in the background. Now, say this is allegedly a trail cam photo, and so are we supposed to believe that your trail cam photo can't take a photograph in focus? Because that's a pretty crappy trail cam if you can't get a picture in focus. And there's nothing here that would indicate that this stuff should be out of focus. And yet, strangely, remarkably, it's out of focus. Now, we've got a little bit of Planet of the Apes going on up here in the face. So really the question here is this a guy in a costume or is it just CGI? Because let's face it, folks, this ain't a real photograph. But it's not bad in terms of, you know, he's got long arms. He's very, very tall, which a Bigfoot you would assume would be. But you notice we just can't get any consistency in the face. Everybody's Bigfoot looks different. It's like if they're all part of the same species, there should be more continuity. Jerry Rasco's got a good point. What kind of trail cams don't take videos these days? Well, I suppose you could suggest that this is a still photo taken from a video, but I don't think we're going to believe that either. And that would explain why it's blurry, right? Because he's moving, but that wouldn't explain why the tree is blurry. What this says to me is someone faked this and then put it in Photoshop or whatever program they use, blurred it up so you couldn't tell how bad it was, and then put it out on the market. And of course, the person that released this, there's no where was it taken, what's my name. It's all anonymous, which also leads to the same conclusions that once again, we have not found Bigfoot. But it warms my heart to know that they're still out there trying. What do we got here? Okay, so what about, so if Bigfoot, we can't find the evidence of Bigfoot, what about the dog man? That's what we really need is, you know what would be really great if we had a video of the dog man in action. And sure enough, we do. And then we run it backwards, and then we run it forward, and then we run it forward, and then we run it backwards, then we run it forward. So it's not very much video, but is that a fake video? I'm looking at his hind legs and I'm saying, is that a fake video? Walt Parrish says it could have been windy. That's why it was blurry. Yeah. What about this? What do you make of this? Walt's unconvinced. Captain Bipto, who insulted me earlier, says it's about my fake cigarette, which I'll now put in my mouth again now that I'm going to read his, says it's bad, when I drop my cigarette, it's bad AI, that's what it is. Creative Face saying, come on, that's computer edited video. What are you, an idiot? Andy Montemayor says that looks tampered with here. And you know what? I think it does too. That's some bad digital compositing. The outline around the dog man is far too sharp. I think we're all sort of on the same page here. Evil One for $10. Thank you, Chris. We haven't heard from you in a while. So after my buddies around my age left CG and me and my therapist realized how unhealthy the drama was for me, I decided to step away. I miss you and I wanted to let you know I'm going back to college soon. Chris, great news. I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah, one thing you can't do if you're going to hang around these parts is get sucked into the drama, unless you're into that. But it's very easy to get sucked into it, and it can really affect your mood. And I'm not trying to play psychologist, but it's so true. And so what a lot of guys I've heard from, they kind of put their focus where they want to on certain creators or whatever, certain projects, and just step away from the other stuff. And that is the best thing, because there's two things going on here. There's people selling books, and then you make the decision of what books you want to support based on quality or name or whatever, right? Subject matter. And then there's the drama. that goes along with all of that. And it's like, you can avoid that. You can't. I do it pretty successfully. And I'm right in the middle of it. But good for you. I'm glad to hear it. Certainly keep me posted on your progression through college. I think that's really great. Unlike this chupacabra video. Andy's confused, everybody. He says he doesn't get it. Everybody's carrying 4K cameras on their phones and we always get crummy video. That's the key. Now, Andy, I don't know how long you've been watching the show, but a while ago, I should show it, but I don't know where it is right now. Maybe I'll show it next week as a reminder. There was a very famous dog man, if you will, video that this guy shot of this creature attacking the camera guy. And he came out after he released it. Of course, everybody believed it, thought it was real. It was really blurry and bumpy. And then he came out and admitted the whole thing was a hoax and then showed how he did it. So he showed the original footage that he took, which was with his phone or his digital camera or whatever, clear as a bell. All right. It was a dude in what do you call those netting things that hunters wear with the leaves on them? A ghillie suit. And he was tramping, trying to run like a dog. And I remember people seeing the finished video going, this can't be a human. No human could run like that, and blah, blah, blah. And here it was, a guy with this thing running like that. So I always take that when people say, well, clearly this is real because no human could. BS. And so anyway, and then what he did was he put it in a program, gave it the shakes, and blurred it up in this program so that you couldn't really see how bad it was. And then it became this thing. So that's what these guys are doing. What they really need to do is get a better costume, and then they wouldn't, or get better at their CGI, and then they wouldn't have to blur it up. And then we'd have more fun videos to watch. Okay, now this one looks real. The question is, and it's a good thing Paul Taylor's here, because this is something a biologist might want to chime in on. What exactly are we looking at here, folks? Now, the suggestion is, this looks real to me, but if this was a snake, you'd be out of your freaking mind to be messing with a snake that big, because it would turn around and eat you like an anaconda or a, whatever. It's incredibly long. This looks real to me, but I can't imagine what it is and why this guy would look at how long that thing is. Why is he messing with this? I mean, the guys were talking like Spanish or something in the background of this video, so it's clearly not in the US. Yeah, maybe. They're saying it's a long hose or an inner tube, maybe. Look how big that is. Yeah, there's no scaling on it, right? So that's kind of curious. But you can kind of see, like right there, is that a kink maybe? Right up there? Then maybe someone's just pulling this giant hose through the water? Randy says that is a hose draining. Okay. Well, it says anaconda or eel. The thing is, an eel couldn't be that long, right? Now, what they're saying is that this is a Titan boa, which now Titan boas apparently were discovered in some cave in some South American country. I can't remember which one it was. And they found a skeletal remains of what they call a Titan boa, which is basically this giant prehistoric boa. And so they're saying, could this be what this is? I just can't imagine that this was actually a real giant snake that size. The number one, you'd be in the water with it, because you'd be out of your freaking mind, and then touching it, maybe. Now, Walt Paris is saying no human could pull a hose like that. I don't know. Giant eel. I mean, that's a giant. I mean, what is that, 30 feet long? I mean, this is a freaking giant eel. Are they that big? Giant eel or catfish. But again, how could it be that big? That's my question here, right? Because if you look again, let's speed it right there. Okay, look how far that goes. And it does look like there's a little kink. Now, it could just be the shadow off the water, but it looks like possibly, I don't know, let's go back. Okay, not that far. Okay, right there. Does that look like a kink right there? Like it could be like a rubber. It may just be the reflection though. I don't know. Green Light is saying it looks like a rubber tube. It does. I mean, the close-up shots of it look like a rubber tube because it's so smooth. If it was a snake or even an eel, wouldn't there be some texture there? And it wouldn't be like completely like flat black like that. I don't know. That's a good point. There's no scale, so it can't be a snake, probably a hose. An eel wouldn't have, but it wouldn't be that smooth either, I don't think. Well, this, of course, is always the question. Why isn't there more to the video if it were real? Exactly. There's always like 3 or 4 seconds of it, and then it just repeats. You're like, where's the rest of the video? A lot of people either saying giant eel or hose, and that's like that's a huge spectrum. Evil 15, still got stuff to send you. I'll reach out soon, going to school for film editing. Excellent. Hopefully I'll make something out of myself and make for some real money. Well, I can tell you there's no real money in comics, so stay away from that as a profession. But invest as reading material and entertainment. I highly recommend that. Well, that's great news, Chris. All right, let's look at something real that I find fascinating that every once in a while I'll bring on board, and that is our good friends, the humongous saltwater crocodile. Check this dude out. I mean, it's hard to say how big he is, but that is a big thing. That's one. And, if I was in a boat, I'd be going the other direction right about now. Of course, these people are probably, these Nile crocodiles and stuff, these are saltwater crocodiles. Excuse me. I mean, I guess if you live in these areas, you're used to it. But man, I would not be in the water with something like that. I just wouldn't. I'd be going, okay, we're getting out now. Batum 12 for $10. Thank you so much. It says, hey, Aaron, got the everything pack. That should get us the 80K perks. Woohoo! Thank you. That some people do. It's like Fire Tonight. We do it. It's like Croc Tonight. And here's your Croc. Thank you so much. So that would put us over 80K. And that means we're all going to get the trunk trading card, which means I have to go draw it now. But I'm totally happy doing that. I love trunk. Big elephant, dude. What's not to love? And what's not to love about giant crocodiles? So cool. I mean, who needs dinosaurs when you got these things? I mean, they are dinosaurs, right? Walt's saying, I think the small plants make the gator croc look bigger. Probably, but that's still a big, it may not be, 20 footer, but it's probably 13, 14 feet, which is still plenty big. Not a world record, but, Okay. Now we need some clarification here, Jerry, because it says I saw at Disney World that I saw a croc at Disney World that I thought was animatronic, but they were 100% real. They had to be 15 feet long, insanely big. They are humongous. Now, do they have some place in the park where they had them caged up, or are you saying you saw it because they do have like ponds and lakes out there, but those are alligators. It wouldn't be crocs around Disney World and stuff where there are. I mean, they told us when we lived in Florida, assume that every body of water has at least one alligator in it and act accordingly. So, I have not. That's an interesting question. I'll tell you what I have seen. I've seen an 18-footer at the Australian Zoo in Sydney back 93, 94, 18-footer. It was freaking, I could not believe how big it was. I mean, you say 18 feet and like, what? We were up like it was down in a pit, right? So we were walking up and looking down. It was enormous. I couldn't believe how big it was. I mean, that's essentially you're taking two basketball hoops and standing on top of each other. You know, that'd be 20 feet. This thing was, I mean, and they're, like you said, they're wide. Oh my gosh, just enormous, just dragons, just monsters. Incredibly cool. That's true. That was a famous case that happened at that little pond outside of Disney. Like, I mean, you think about it, if you're dumb or unaware or don't do your homework, that, hey, it's a Disney beat. You know, it's a Disney. There wouldn't be alligators in here. It's Disney. And sure enough, the kid gets eaten. So, yeah. Here we go. The crocs were in the park. It was part of a tour we did in the animal kingdom. That's very cool. I don't remember that when I was there. I wonder if that's a new thing or if I just missed it. I haven't been there. It was like 10 years ago. It was the last time I was there. So, almost got eaten because I had my arm outside of a boat during a gator tour in Florida. Keep your hands and arms inside the boat. Wraith of God, number 3 is at 80,103 with 1,090 backers. Thank you, Randy Howell, for that update. And of course, thank you, Batadam 12 for backing and getting us over the hump. I guess we could probably just take a quick look. Where is it? There we go. And we like to refresh. It's always fun and exciting. There it is, $80,103. Thank you so much, everybody, not just Batadam 12, but everybody for backing this project. I'm on page 47 right now. I've had a slow 2 weeks simply because the summer con interrupted everything and several doctor's appointments for Shelley and the like. So we're back on track and burning right now. So it's a 64-page graphic novel. We are on page 47. So that's what, 17 pages to go. So we're in the middle of the at least I am, the exciting conclusion of the story, the exciting third act. So there you go. Again, thank you guys all for backing. And if you haven't yet, please consider doing so. You'll find a link in the description of this video, as well as a link to my website, which has back issues, posters, prints, original artwork, books, just all sorts of stuff. And you can just go there to look at art if that's all you want to do. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Another really big show. I appreciate all the super chats. Appreciate you guys participating. Can't do it without you. I had a huge audience today. I really thank you for it. And please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It helps the channel grow. Join us on Graybeard's Wednesdays. It's the best draw stream on the internet by far. Very entertaining if you can squeeze it into your schedule. And I'll probably be on Comicsgate Kings Monday night to do more sketching as well. And the Professionals on Tuesday. The Landing Party, the Star Trek show on Wednesday on Graham Nolan's channel. I'm all over the place. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday and the rest of your weekend. And we will see you right here next time on Aaron Live. Good night, everybody.